What's up, Chesticles?
What's up, BJ?
Nothing much. Sad day. We would both be right now at Adepticon. I'd be rooting you on in the top 16 as I roll my display board for the team tournament through the crowd, and everyone goes, "What the hell is that?"
I would be finishing game two. Or sorry, I'd be in the middle of game two right now.
Yeah, you'd be complaining about dice. You'd be looking at Britt like, "I'm gonna lose because these dice suck." But really, you just
No.
made a huge tactical error in deployment. And
I love that you said that to Britt, by the way.
well, I'm tired of her just saying you suck at dice. No, you don't suck at dice. You suck at 40K. Let's be real. Like
I'm the shit at 40K.
I mean, every time she talks, she's like, "Brad's really bad at dice." That's not a thing.
I don't know if you've watched me roll. It's pretty much a thing.
I think exactly what I told her was, I was like, Brad uses the excuse that it's the dice, but really it's his tactics. Similar to when he uses the excuse, "I'm sorry, honey, it's cold."
Yeah, that was fantastic. Also, you missed Civilization play today on stream.
Ooh, I do love me some Civ. Who'd you play with?
I played. Who did I play with? I played with Reese. I played with. God, why can I not remember her name?
Oh, Jesus, I can't remember her name now either. I know who you're talking about though. Yeah, the Grease character. Yeah.
I literally just played her.
Yeah. I always play with Gandhi because I hate playing against him because whenever you like try to kill people or like go to war, he's always so mad at you all the time. You're a warmonger. Like you immediately get warmonger penalty right away from him.
I get warmonger all the time because I fight with it's Gorgo. Basically, because of the fact that you have to fight because that's her whole thing because you get culture for killing things. But yeah, I like how we were like, hey, we're not going to segue too bad today. We're going to try to stay on topic. And then we immediately started talking about Civ 6.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love Civ. I it's just one of my favorite games. And whenever I just start playing it, I just get in like a hole and like eventually like 6 hours is gone. And I'm like, what just happened?
I had to get ready for this. I was hanging out with Neil again. He was playing Brazil. Good times. But the thing about I'm worried about, let's talk about Adepticon being canceled. Let's talk about the other conventions that are being canceled. And we are already in disagreement that we started with.
BAO, KublaCon officially announced cancellation on theirs. And I think that was big news. So, I mean, I kind of expected that one because it's a very, very big tournament in a state that's still very riddled with Corona. California, New York, and Washington states are, kind of like becoming the epicenters. I think Illinois is actually climbing too. We had a pretty big number yesterday. So I think it's just continuously growing in some of the major metropolitan areas.
Yeah, the big hubs. Also, people, stay home, wash your hands, stop being next to people.
Yeah.
You guys are just prolonging this stuff, man. I had to go to the store yesterday and people were just milling about in the grocery store and they had they literally have lines blocked off at the counters.
For personal space. We have the same thing. Yeah.
And people were just blowing it off. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, you guys are the reason this is going to last longer than it should.
Yeah, there was like extremes at my grocery store too. I had some people who, came with like full mask, like glasses and like eye protection, and like they were fully clothed, like with gloves on and like a spare set of gloves. They're like taking their gloves off after they touch something. It was ridiculous. And then there's other people who like literally like walk right up to you as you're like trying to pick produce and like they don't even care. Like there's zero personal space whatsoever.
Yeah, there has to be the combo in the middle there. You got to beat the thing is I just made sure I went home after I shopped and I immediately washed all my veggies off, fucking washed my hands, and just the standard shit, man.
Yeah. So we got in disagreement because I honestly believe that ATC being in June has a chance to happen.
Zero. I think it also has a chance, and that numerical value is 0.
I don't know. I don't know about that, man. I really feel like at a certain point, the prevention that we're doing is going to cause such a drastic impact in other areas of the country and the economy and all kinds of other things that at a certain point, people are just not going to have it anymore. And in 3 months, I think people are just going to be like, whatever, I'm going out. Like, I think it'll happen even before. I think in May,
I I
people
I
will be
don't
out and
know.
about.
I don't know because I will I'll move it from 0 to slightly above 0.
So here's what I would say, right? I think I understand you're moving right now, but I don't want you to say where you're moving to yet. Give me a sec. Let me give you my whole story first. So
Okay, I'm ready.
I think number one, people are going to be extremely cooped up in their houses. I think the economic impact, the toll that they're going to have from like all the industries being impacted by this is going to be so large that if we prolong it too long, it's going to be like a serious thing. You can see China and Italy going back to some of like regular life already. Is the coronavirus gone there? Absolutely not. It's still gonna be there, but they have to go back to like some kind of stability of life to just make the economy move and make people have like something to do, right? And somewhere to go. And I think we're in March 27th, whatever, right now. ATC is almost a full 3 months, 2 months and 3 weeks away. And I honestly believe that around that time, restaurants will be open again. I think theaters will be open again, but I think there'll be some kind of policies around it. I think events over 1,000 people will still probably be canceled. I think sporting events will still probably be canceled. I think anything large of 1,000 or more is still going to be tabooed in many states. I don't know if Tennessee will be one of those states, and I also don't think ATC is over 1,000 people.
It is a thousand. Is it not 1,000 people?
I think it's about 55 teams currently signed up, and I think a lot of people are going to be hesitant to go anywhere. Like my wife and I had a vacation plan in May, and we're not going to get a refund, obviously, because it's most likely not going to be canceled. It has to be canceled by COVID in order for me to get a refund. So I have a feeling that by that time, I'm going to be fully available to go to Punta Cana if I want to. But my wife's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm scared, and I think people for ATC will also be scared and they won't come. So I'm envisioning 60 teams. So you do 60 times five, that's 300 people.
Yeah. My thing is that I think that because they have to do things so far in advance, and you're not going to get your things that your down payments and stuff back if it's canceled. I think I would be very gun shy if I was a big tournament and I had to pre-purchase all these things and I did not know if I was going to actually get the tournament. Because you got to figure if you're not getting any of those entry fees and everything else, you're just putting that money out and you're not getting all of it back.
Yeah, there probably is a date. So Shane and the ATC community probably have a date where they have like a 30-day out policy with the venue, or maybe it's a 60-day or 45-day, something around those, like 30, 45, 60. Those are usual contract dates where if they cancel prior to that time, they probably get a majority of what they have to invest back, or maybe they can apply it to future year. And I think if you see them not take that, if we're less than 30 days of the event, you best believe that they're going to take a hit, or if it doesn't happen. So they're going to be looking at that. So I think you'll hear from them that it got canceled. Like look at KublaCon. KublaCon got canceled. I think it was right around 60 days when they announced that it was canceled. 60 days
Yeah,
from.
that's because you're like you were saying, it's just your window for whatever the money you put down is. Because
Yep.
once you get to a certain date, you don't get it back. So you're not going to put down, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 towards venues, table rentals, all these other things. You know what I mean, and not get your money back, and
Yep.
just take a huge personal hit from the organization staff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I couldn't. I 100%. Expect to see something from the ATC group and on the captains. There's a captains thread, so all the captains out there will be informed by Shane through that thread what they have going on. And currently, they're just monitoring the scenario, and they're of the opinion that hey, we're still 2 and 3 weeks out. Things can change, so let's see if they change. And if they do, they'll most likely have it. But if you hear something in the meantime about them canceling, that's probably because they want to recoup that investment and not have to pay those down payments. So, but I mean, as far as ATC goes, I think it'd be great to have it. Other than that, I know we have War Games Con, BFS events in July, Nova coming up in August, late August. So I don't know what's going on. What's going on with ETC? How about ETC? I'm pretty sure that one's gonna get the old boot.
Neil is real up in the air right now because they're thinking, and this is all just speculation on it, but I've talked to Neil a bunch about it, and because they just came in, and now you gotta give it the right title. It's Worlds. WTC World Team Championships because they had left the ETC format.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to cancel on their first year upon leaving. But they also have to figure out that many different countries, you got 40 different countries that might, are involved in that.
Yep.
And you don't know where they're going to be in the corona situation. So there's like right now, for instance, right now, like, there's so many countries that are just on travel lockdown, but they're also in different states of where they are with the coronavirus. So you
Correct.
don't,
Correct. Yeah. I mean, Spain is getting ravaged.
just,
Italy was destroyed. I mean, and I don't think that's going to stop. So I
well, it's the
honestly
country.
don't think ETC happens or WTC happens unless WTC postpones quite a bit.
They were talking about the possibility of postponing, but if I was going to put money on it, I would say it's probably not going to happen just because of the fact that you have logistics of multiple countries that have to come together on that.
Yeah.
And certain countries like Spain's just is just getting wrecked by it, and a couple of these other countries that just have just poor infrastructure as far as their healthcare are we're not you're not really sure how they're going to do. Funny enough, like that some of the old communist countries are doing really well because the people are just used to listening to the government.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, Montenegro's doing amazing. I think there's like 2 cases. They basically told everyone, stay in your house or we'll shoot you with a machine gun.
yeah,
So those are your
that's
options. So
most of the a bunch of the
my
Eastern Bloc countries
yeah,
are exactly the same way.
my aunt is there right now, and she's like, we can't go anywhere, like nowhere. Thank God we have a garden. Basically, is kind of how they're living right now. But
Well, they've seen what happened in Spain, and then Greece is starting to get hit. You know what I mean? Places like that, you're just if you don't pay attention, that's the thing is it's not the end of the world, but it's also not the flu. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you have to actually take some precautions. It's for the world. It's not the stand, but it's also not just something to blow off. You know what I mean? So if you don't, all of a sudden, you're going to have issues. And people that are compromised, myself included, are not looking forward to getting this. So I'm taking that hurt a lot, and the you just exploded my ears. Apparently, that's a payback for me tapping on my desk. But
yeah. I have to get you back for something. So I got
so,
tapping on my desk now.
but I'm dubious to stuff happening in June. So I can't say it's out of the thing because we might just get a pretty big backlash because as the economy just suffers horribly, that people are just like screw this and they just force it. But just because of that bill that came out where they're trying to give all the long term, we're talking like 3 months worth of stimulus stuff. So when I see that, that's what I think that the government's trying to do. That's why I'm saying that time.
Well, I think it's 3 months because you're not necessarily going to get your job back because a lot of people who lost their job, the owner of the business might have took a huge hit as well, and
Oh yeah,
may not be able to
especially
hire everyone back.
all these small businesses are wrecked, dude. I
Yeah,
mean, like
it's really
these
bad.
these, these guys might not come back. You know what I mean? You got to figure that these guys were also living, maybe paycheck to paycheck, but it's not paycheck to paycheck. It's just week to week on sales. You know what I mean? Or more like month to month when it's small business. But just if you take away, we're going into spring and summertime. This is the big time for tons of different businesses, restaurants. I mean, guys, we're talking to Sean. I was talking to Sean Naden about it. He works for a tent company, and he's just like, well, this is all of our big. This is when we get all our business. There's tons of places that are, the winter's the slow time, and then you come into spring and summer, and this is where all of their business is in a 6 month span, and all of a sudden you're not able to do anything. And restaurants and stuff. I mean, as an old restaurant owner, hey, all of a sudden you go, hey, I just had somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 worth of food just sitting in my restaurant, and I'm not able to sell it enough of it anymore. That just goes to waste.
Yeah,
So
no,
you just,
definitely. And I think, on a serious note, to all of our ETC, family, friends, people that we've been friends with for 10 years or more, our friends in Sweden, Finland, the UK, Wales, even Spain, Italy, Greece, all of them, big shout out to you guys. Hope you're all doing okay. Hope your families are doing okay, and, stay healthy, stay inside, keep your hands washed, all that good stuff. We definitely don't want to see anyone getting sick from the community either. So
for sure. On a non-serious note, I know that the Finns have no problem with social distancing. I don't think anyone's been within 6 inches, 6 feet of each other, maybe 6 kilometers of each other.
Yeah, the Finns are definitely a unique group of people. So, but if ATC does happen, what type of armies are you feeling for that? What let's talk about it as if it's going to happen. Let's think positively. What type of armies are you considering for that?
We were putting this down. Like, I think that Chaos is in a strong, strong spot. I think some sort of possessed bomb. I like that. I personally prefer. I was just arguing this the other day, and we had it last night a little bit. But I think the possessed either Nurgle or Slanesh is just a really great. I mean, obviously you're going to have the Thousand Sons casters in their own Supreme Command, just like usual. That's an auto. I think that's an automatic include. I think that one of the Eldar builds right now, there's 3 Eldar builds that I really, really like. I like Mech Eldar with like Wraith Lords and stuff, T8, just a real deny type list that you could put out against almost anything and just have it take people on, which I think is like super good in ATC. Just kind of a list. That's what we did last year. To tell you the truth, when we were reigning champions, but that's what my list did last year. I basically went out and I just got points and I tried to deny points against basically whatever everybody else on the team didn't want to play against.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And I
think the
think
possessed army is a good one. Just to add some comments on that one too, I think we're definitely considering the same thing with the possessed army. I did like Aiden Barkley's list at LVO where he ran 2 giant possessed units, double possessed bomb actually, and he had an Emperor's Children detachment in there too with the all the shenanigans you can do with the cultists with just auto 6 charging and like wrapping units to start off early and then get those possessed up the board right away. I really liked his list. I was hoping he would have gone farther at LVO. I know he had some issues in one of his games with time and just management of the clock, and I think there was some discrepancies between that. But he did really well there too, and I really liked all the tricks in that list.
that's a solid list. Eldar, double spears, any of those builds, Seer Council and or that's going to go in there.
Eldar just has the ability to kind of play the game how they want, right? So you not only have like a deny list, but like depending on your opponent, you can kind of dictate the engagement as well. So
right, but depending on which one you take, because you can take either like an all mech list, which is a denial list, or you could take a a more attacker type list, which is like double and or triple spears or a Seer Council.
Yeah,
But
and for denialists, what you're talking about is just a list that is guaranteed to get a certain level of points, right? So that it's denying a massive spread. It's like you may lose, you may have a hard matchup, and you may lose the game, but when you lose the game, you still got like 30 points out of 42. And
you're not giving up a ton of kills. You're not giving up.
Yeah.
You're taking objectives. Blah, 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 you know what I mean? I'm talking like basically 3 serpents, 3 prisms, 3 spinners, a couple wraith lords, casters, and just basically park on objectives. Don't take a ton of losses. Take your points. Hand in your 25 to 30, and literally don't care what your opponent got. You know what I mean? You're just kind of getting your points and trying to deny some of your opponent. Take basically small losses, small wins. You're never going to win big. You're never going to lose big. You're just going to kind of even out there. You're looking for the smooth curve. I'm going to take. They were saying that basically you can only use Marines. We're talking about this just one time period, no matter how many of the books and whatnot. So for me,
except for Greynights.
Gotcha. So for me, my team, we were talking about whether or not we would just bring, if you were just going to bring one Marine, it just depends who's played it. If I played it, I would just bring Raven Guard because I've been playing so much of it. And I really like Raven Guard still in the meta because it's a nice counter for a lot of shenanigan lists because it targets characters so hard. So basically, Chaos, Eldar, some sort of Marine.
And then I would say for the Marine, another option too would be Iron Hands too. I know you said that for your team, it would be whoever played it, kind of whoever has the experience with it. But I think if ATC does happen, we're going to see a lot of Iron Hands players with walking intercessor armies,
40 intercessors, 6 centurions. Yeah, that army's so good as a defender because you just go, okay, here it is, and it literally, it could lose every game, but it would lose every game by like 2. And so
it just parks, right? It just parks. It gets bonuses really well, regardless of what it's playing. It has the ability to kill. It's just going to get those points.
That's a great team tournament list, just because of the fact that you can pull out your opponent's best list and just make it have a real tar pit of a game in that Iron Hands list.
Yeah, anything that plays it will have a Dark Pit of a game, just because it just doesn't die.
The other thing with that is I wanted to go. I also thought about doing one of your concepts, which was all horde. Just have an entire team with too many models on the board, but you have to have players that are willing to play lists that are a little bit unconventional. Like you don't see a lot of Tyranid lists, but if you put 250 models out, 100 250 models of orcs out, and just tell you the truth, I like a mass sisters army, similar to what you did at LVO, but probably just
More, yeah,
more
more bodies.
yeah, but just ignoring AP all the way up to AP -2, and or just having more. Basically, what happens is you give up a win or two, but then the opponent's team doesn't know what to match because every army is just not going to be able to handle a huge horde of people.
Yep.
So you just
Yeah, that's the general approach. And then with the current ITC mission format, controlling objectives and making sure you have board control is a lot of the bonuses. And if you just have a horde army and you get those bonuses 2-3 turns, plus you get kill, hold more, and hold, you're getting like the 3 mandatory points plus the bonus. So you're getting 4 points a turn. You're gonna have a list that can probably get those positional secondaries pretty easy. So you're getting those. And you're probably taking 2, and then you're taking one of the other type of secondaries, and then whatever one that is, just take the one that's most suited for your opponent, right? If your opponent has vehicles, pick vehicle killer. If they have a lot of characters, pick character killer. If whatever one makes sense for the round.
Yeah, because you're definitely going to get 8 in those movements for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, you're getting those 8, and you're getting 4 reliably a turn for a couple of turns because you're trying to get the bonus, and I think that's really strong.
So I think for me, I think that you auto have a Marine list. I think you auto have a Chaos list, and I think you auto, as long as you have a skilled player, you auto take the Eldar list. And then after that, it becomes more of a team concept and where your player strengths are. Because I mean, you can bring I think that if you want to go combo, IG Sisters is a strong take all comers also list because you just can do artillery tanks and the sisters taking objectives, and you just are bombing people with heavy indirect. I mean, GK Green Knights is also a very strong list. I mean, no one really ever wants to just play them because you always have the chance of getting high rolled and just getting your whole army picked up off the table.
Yeah, GK are a good addition to that team comp that you were just talking about, because if let's say you take a possessed army and you have a possessed player who plays it a little bit more defensively, they're not just rushing their opponent, they're trying to play the mission, they're trying to get the objectives, maybe has closer games. You have that Eldar list that's also, let's say it's a tank heavy version that's also playing a closer game, and then you have the Iron Hands list that's also playing a closer game. Adding in that GK army now can get you that high spike you're looking for. You get the GK player the best matchup he can get, and all of a sudden he's walking away with a 39-15 victory. Boom, round win for the team, regardless of how the other 3 guys are doing for the most part.
Yeah, anytime you have a high roll army, you definitely want to give it the best matchup it can get, because that's the one army that's trying to get your differential to win the round, basically.
Yeah. Which is
the thing is, the team concept is: do you want 2 of those armies, or do you want 4 kind of just take 'em armies and 1 high roll army? Do you want 2 high roll armies and 3 take alls?
Yeah, I think that's what you have to consider, and I think there's just a lot of ways to play it. But I do like your 3/4 list you're thinking about right now with the use of AdMech, or not AdMech, sorry, Sisters and IG. So that's not a bad idea too. So then GK as well. So that's like 5 you got right there that you feel pretty confident with.
It's combos on things. It's just one of the things you have to do is who's your your player strength and stuff like that. Who's good with what armies, because I think sometimes people take the best armies and you don't have players on your teams that are good with that particular army though.
That happens to us quite a bit in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens all the time. You know what I mean? You get players that are just getting on certain armies, and they're good players.
There was this one year where this one team just took 5 armies of Fire Raptors when they had the Skies of Death rules, and And there was one guy on the team who really understood how it worked and basically tabled everyone and made people quit 40K. And then the rest of the team just kind of didn't really understand how to move flyers and how to play the flyer game and how formation boxes worked. But yeah, the one year where Skies of Death was actually legal at an event, and
Also before boots on the ground.
almost, yeah, before boots on the ground. Amazing. Like, just set up your flyers in a box. They all have a 4+ invulnerable. They get to get +1 to hit, and they ignore cover. Seemed good.
It did not. Apparently it seemed good, but apparently it was not.
Well, it goes on what you were just saying earlier, where you got to make sure your players are playing an army that they understand, that they get, that matches their player skill, that matches their player style. Don't always just flood towards the popular 4, top 5 top armies.
I actually think that's way more important. I would take an army that people are more comfortable with and know the play before I would take a better. If you had two options where one is scores a 10 and one scores a 7, as far as how good the army is, I would take the 7 all day long if my player knows how to play that army. Because even though the other army's a 10, he might not know all the tricks that make it a 10 in the first place.
Yeah. And there was another year where we were on a team and one of our teammates had 3 Storm Ravens and Robbie G.
Oh God.
And just did not subscribe to how that list is played. It was not his style. So
it's not his cup of tea.
No, definitely not. So but it was funny. Some fun times. So I didn't hear you mention Space Wolves. Would you even consider Space Wolves?
I would consider Space Wolves, but I would put Space Wolves. Here's my thing: is because I think that for me, because a lot of people like the Blood Angels, Sanguinary Guard, but I prefer White Scars BA and Space Wolves. I think that all of them run for me, a very similar build, which is multiple impulsors with guys inside with a bunch of beatstick characters. And I do like Space Wolves just because of the fact that I think that the math on them is really good with the +1 to hit and the exploding 6s on just the regular guys. And then their characters are just fucking nuts with the strat for 4s explode, because that actually stacks on the 6 explode. So I think you can run a very similar list with Space Wolf intercessors, just jump on and give impulsors and just getting a ton of hits.
Yeah, I could see it. I really do like Ragnar a lot. I think Ragnar's rules are just insanity, and what you can do with him is really, really cool. But I honestly believe Blood Angels and White Scars both just do it better. I think that they have better just inherent abilities, right? Like Space Wolves, they only get the 6s to hit, cause additional hits. I think no, they get +1 to hit. That's what they get, right? The +1 to hit is what they get.
+1 to hit is their base. They're
in a mixed army.
If you go down the mixed, what you lose, Space Wolves have exploding 6s, Blood Angels have +1 attack, and White Scars have +1 to damage, and these are all in the assault doctrine.
Yeah. So what I like better is I think White Scars have the best one where they can run and charge. That one, in my opinion, is like ideal for an impulsor based, assault based, aggressive based army. They definitely got the best one in my opinion. I would take +1 to wound over +1 to hit, just because I can mitigate not being able to hit on 2s in a lot of different ways, and I can get reroll 1s in certain ways, and there's just other ways of getting what I need. But the wound roll, I think, is so critical, especially when like you're going against something tougher and you need like 5s or 6s. Getting that down one is such a big deal, especially with volumes of dice.
You can also do that with White Scars have Corso Khan, who has a 6-inch bubble of +1 wound to wound.
Yeah, no, I'm saying White Scars are number 1 for me, and then I think Blood Angels are number 2, and then I think Space Wolves come in third. I just don't think they have inherently as much of the other armies. I think for example, Mephiston is just awesome in so many different ways. The Blood Angels army at +1 to wound, I think, is just really, really
the
good.
library, the Mephiston and the library. To tell you the truth, if you're going to go with you like on that, I actually do like the mixed. I like a White Scars army, and then a Supreme Command of Blood Angels. Mephiston, the Librarian Dreadnought, which is just crazy amazing for the points, and then the Smash Captain with the wings ignoring Overwatch, and then throwing in one more Impulsor with a unit of Death Company Intercessors in the elite spot. Those guys are just badasses too. So it's just basically, and that's where Mephiston goes in that Impulsor. So you've got a unit of Death Company intercessors
Oh yeah.
with Mephiston inside.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that small detachment in a White Scars list, you don't lose a lot with White Scars. You still have all of the little tricks that White Scars have, and that Blood Angels contingent that you just talked about right there. I think that's a perfect add along to it, and it just has so many little hidden things in there too, where you can Wings of Sanguinius the Dreadnought turn one, and then Mephi's inside of the Impulsor, and then when he gets out, he can Wings, but the
Yeah.
Dreadnought still has it from the previous turn. So like everything's kind of keeping up with everything, and the threats there is just awesome.
And it's really annoying with the shield domes on the impulsors. They're so hard to take care of. And it's 4-up invuln, T7, 11 wounds. You just put it on the objective. You don't have to get the guys out. It's so, and you put the
And they're
basically,
they're even worse than White Scars because you can't even get too close. Because like you might have some firepower that like, oh, if I get within 24, I can kill it, or if I get around this curve, I can see it to kill it. But when you get too close, now you're risking, okay, that unit inside can get out 3, move, run, and charge.
exactly. Jason was going to play that at Adepticon, that exact list. And we had played like a bunch of games with it. It's very solid and it's very annoying
Yep.
to take care of those impulsors, especially even if you get you get a turn where you slightly high roll. Man, it is a bad turn if you just your big stuff bounces off those impulsors. An excellent unit, not that much expense on an impulsor, and it's a great objective taker, especially for the new missions for ITC. Having something that's just very hard to kill has been shown over and over again just to be valuable. It's got distance. Oh, but I was saying with the White Scars, the impulsors themselves put people in lockdown. It's so crazy because you can pull so many shenanigans because you lead with the impulsors, even if you don't have ignore Overwatch. Um, you go back and forth. You can pin the impulsor on a character and attack the other side of the unit, for instance, so he doesn't consolidate into you. So all of a sudden that big character has to attack an impulsor that's got a 4-up invuln and it's T7 as opposed to picking up all your intercessors. They're so good for that, and they can, they're pinning stuff in. It's a big body that can actually pivot out and then touch another unit on the consolidate. They have a lot of uses. Um, they're a lot better than I thought they were originally. I just saw them as transports, but they're much more just because of the fly and the 4-up invuln. The 4-up invuln basically puts it over the top.
I think the -2 to charge is also amazing.
That's huge. That's like, but for me, that's
So
just the
big.
cherry. Yeah, that's the cherry on the top of it, though, because you're just I'm looking at it as just a huge durable body that can't be trapped.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
like, hey, you touched me, cool. You do realize that I hover, so I'm just gonna fly away now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I think they're awesome. But yeah, as far as Space Wolves go, I would put it after BA and White Scars. But I do think this is just my guess. I'd like to see what else Space Wolves has to offer. I think this is just a setup for some more stuff. I think that they're definitely a codex that can get revisioned and some modifications and some updates to it in the future. And I think that'd be really interesting to see. And I think this is a good setup for them, though. They're going the right direction. I'd like to see what else they can do with Sagas.
my other thing is I guess I really want Space Wolves to work because I said this before. I just after Sparky evicted my Space Wolves from his basement and brought him over the house, and I got to look at
They got the boot.
yeah, and I got the bug to look at him again. But if you're gonna play like a combo army where you're already not doing it, I wouldn't mind a Supreme Command of Space Wolves
Yeah.
with their character strats, and you've got guys that are Primaris like Ragnar. You could slap him in and or take a small detachment of any. I just think that
No, it could be definitely really, really strong. I mean, I was even thinking about a patrol with just Ragnar, a unit, and a tank.
yeah, I mean literally put
That's it.
Ragnar and an impulsor with unit intercessors.
That's
Go.
it. Go. Just add that to the
Yeah, I
others.
mean you could literally have 3 impulsors of White Scars because I was taking 4, 3 impulsors, 3 intercessors characters, Librarian, Dreadnought, Mephiston, Smash Captain, Impulsor, Death Company Intercessors, Ragnar, Impulsor, Intercessors.
Yeah. Five impulsors, and you're just rolling up. And then
Yeah.
like anything that's outside of the impulsors are like just beat stick characters.
And you
Like
just don't want
the
Ragnar. Ragnar showing up to hit you is bad news bears, man.
so good. Such a good
Dude,
model.
top of the strat, 15 to 16 fucking hits. Easy. Minimum.
Yeah. and point costed appropriately. Unlike, can I transition? I'm gonna transition to orcs now.
Let's hit it.
Yeah, unlike Gaz, who got destroyed. Like they made this beautiful model, got my hopes up. So excited to get this model. Still excited to have the model, but
I mean, he is a motherfucker though.
dude, they butchered the points cost. He's way too expensive. 285 for just him.
Dude,
And
he
then
can't be killed in a phase.
correct, he cannot be killed in a phase unless he has 4 wounds at the top of that phase. Then he can be killed.
Sure.
So, I mean,
However, let's go with how many does he have 4 wounds? Hold on, does
no,
he have 8 wounds?
he has 12, but I
So
would
that's
I
that's
would
more than 4.
yeah, but I would say no. He's good. He's not bad. I just think he's just too many points. He's just way too many points. You're giving up too much with the orcs, with the way an orc army is built and the way an orc army plays. Giving up 285 for just him. Forget about even the 6-up. Feel no pain he can get with the Makari dude. You're the opportunity cost for that amount of points in the orc codex isn't worth it. You could just take a war boss,
Even
give
with
him the
plus,
new. Yeah, you could just take a war boss and you can give him the new strat, make him just God War boss, the biggest boss, and just he can hide. He has a bunch of really cool strats that he can leverage. He still has the awesome claw that he can get for the flat damage. I mean, he's just essentially equivalent to Gazgul minus a couple of really cool features. I understand Gazgul can only take 4 wounds a phase, but guess what? This war boss will take no wounds a phase because I can just make sure you can't get to him. I can make sure you either can't see him with things that can target characters, or I can make sure you can't. He won't be the closest model. So those are not going to be too hard for me to do.
I can see that. I like the idea of this basically pushing the threat of Gazgul getting to you, and the fact that you panic because you can't take most armies. They're not going to be able to take him out
Yeah,
for several turns. So basically, it puts the pressure on, especially with the log advance and charge. You know what I mean? So you're just running, effectively just sprinting at your opponent, and really making it so that they're worried about what's going to happen if he's there.
yeah,
Because I think you're going to get a lot of armies that, I mean, some armies are going to be able to deal with it a little bit easier. Because if you put targeted psychics on him and target him in the shooting phase, and then get into assault, obviously you can kill him 1, 2, 3. But if you're just running up and you don't have very many psychics that are targeted, you only have your smites or whatever, you're going to have a hard time dealing with him getting into your army, because you may have only had a turn or two of actually doing anything to him. And if he's healing every turn with your, getting D3 back, that's significant. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
But you have to wait CP for the D3 back. You have to. I mean, and orcs are a very CP hungry army. Like it's hard to make an orc list function without like just planning on spending a significant amount of CP. Back when I was playing orcs before the Space Marines dropped and I was going to more events at that time, I was spending all 18, 22, whatever I had CP within 2 turns. Like it was just all gone. I'm shooting the shock attack gun twice. I'm shooting a unit
I'll give you,
twice.
I'll give you that.
I'm doing +1 to fives and
My
sixes equal Deka Deka.
my many games of orcs, of just Nova, I was just dumping CPs
Yeah,
like
you're
crazy.
you are flying through CP in any orc list you build for the most part, and I don't want to have to rely on doing D3 heals on Gaz every turn with that, and so it's just tough, But what I did like is I did like that they brought the Big Mac back. So Big Mac with the custom force field to those of who are non-orc players, those of us who are orc players realize that it got legend. So the Big Mac with the KFF was legend, and I was worried about that. Like, I didn't want to get a mega armor Big Mac to take a KFF. So now it's back, and it's available in combat now.
See, I like that a lot. I actually I don't like the price cost, and I didn't really like taking the Big Mac period.
Yeah, I do like it in some of the new lists that I've been like toying with. Overall, I love that it's back. I love that it's no longer a legend thing. I love that it now works in combat. I think those are some really big, great changes that they made to that. And I think it's something that I think a lot of non-orc players would take for granted, but orc players I think would be like, wow, this is good.
Tell me what the biggest your top 3 as an orc guy, because what I thought about was the KFF. I do like Gazgul. I do think his price is high, but I do like the abilities of him. I really like the actual war boss options, I think that guy's going to be nuts. And I do agree that he's probably, as far as efficiency, he's way more efficient point wise for the rest of your army. Give me the top three things that you're going to put into a new orc army. Like, what are you most excited about? The top three changes you have. So I would say number one, the new war boss
Yeah,
ability.
yeah, I think the new war boss ability is definitely a must take with your war boss. Just make him the biggest boss. I don't think there's any game in which you wouldn't do that. I think you're gonna want him to be just more of a beat stick, even scarier than he was before. Especially with the way that the meta is going, with other things getting more resilient. I think he's only better. So I think that one's definitely a must take in a lot of lists. So there's the grot based approach, which we've seen played, and it's just a million grots on the table. And in the past, it's just been so many grots it's hard to kill. But now with subcultures and you have cheeky zoggers, you give every single grot a 6-up invul. And then in addition to that, you can tag on a pain boy for a 6-up feel no pain. Now you have literally 250 plus models easy, for sure, without spending too much of your points. And they're able to take up a vast majority of the table space, and now they're even more resilient.
That's huge, by the way. I was gonna bring it. I know you hate them, but man, that is nuts. Because you have so many models, and all of a sudden you're just kicking it. If you've got Feel No Pain, you're now looking at a 6-up invul and a 6-up Feel No Pain to kill a Gretchen. What? You have to put so much volume into that for so little return on the investment. When you pick up a Horde of Gretchen after you fired half your army at it and you realize that you just killed about 100 points, you're going to be sad.
Yeah, as you know, it's not my cup of tea, not typically the way I play, but it's definitely had some success.
I mean, that army did well, though. Did really, really well multiple times now. That army type has proven out to be a strong army. That is a crazy, crazy, especially to kill a Grotmon. You know what I mean? When you're looking at like hardly any points per model. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
3 points a guy. They come with a pistol. They have attacks. They can get bonus attacks. I mean,
on
they're pretty
fours.
gross. Yeah, hitting on fours. Just so many
I mean,
guys.
it's just that's the thing is anytime you increase if you increase the resiliency of a mob type army, that is when it becomes. I mean, that's how the whole reason that the KFF's popular.
Yeah, that KFF is brutal. And now gaining popularity, I think everyone knows this already, is the Burnas, the Burna bombers, and the new strat that allows you to just explode them, and which is really really cool. And it's solid 3 mortal wounds.
Crazy, and it's not even D6; it's just straight six. That's huge. But the thing is now with an army type that you like to play, let's talk about a boys type build with lots of shooting because you love your guns, your orky guns. What are you looking at? Like, what do you think the your best upgrade now is in an actual boys style, a Baramovich style, a real orc style, some green skins, not just those grots, but a real green skin army. What are you looking at? Right.
Yeah, I think after reading the book, obviously it just came out, but I'm really looking forward to Burnas. I think a squad of Burnas will be a lot of fun, especially in a pyromancy detachment. I obviously have one detachment put aside just for the shock attack gun relic, but I am highly considering some type of Burna battle wagon detachment where I can give the battle wagons upgrades, have a Burna squad, maybe a flash kits unit, maybe a knobs unit. Just playing around with different units, putting them in battle wagons, trying to see if I can do something with T8 armor, some of the mech vehicle upgrades that you could potentially take now, and seeing what else I can do. Maybe even stick in 2 Burner bombers in there and not have to take a flyer wing detachment, and then save my final detachment for more shooting, like Ludo's in a Bad Moons detachment where they can shoot twice, but now I get to roll 2d6 and pick the higher one for all their shots. I think that would be a really good addition as well. So you'd have Ludos, you'd have a shock attack on, you'd have Burnas, potentially flash kits if I can work them in somehow. After their point drop, they're only better, and I was playing them when they were even more expensive.
So, do you think that a mech orc army is something that could be an actual doable thing? A Killican plane type army where you're just looking to have just super durable stuff running across the board with heavy firepower. and you're basically anytime your opponent gets too close, your hand to hand is vicious, and they have serious problems if they do put it down. So, for instance, you're killing those Burnas. If you just put them right down your opponent's throat with the automatic explosions, all of a sudden your opponent's taking some serious damage just for killing something in their phase.
Yeah.
And then the killer cans are right up behind them, and they're very
Yeah,
difficult
yeah,
to
I would
kill
agree.
also.
And I think, you know, what you could also do is, you know, just looking at the new book, whenever a new book comes out, take into consideration what are the changes, right? And this subculture of cheeky zoggers gives you re-rolling ones for vehicles that are Gretchen based. So yeah, a killer can army could definitely work. Killer cans mixed in with some smash guns, mixed in with the Grot Horde. You know, you got a 6-up invul on all your Gretchen. You got reroll ones to hit for all the vehicles. You take a flyer wing detachment, stick that in your second detachment, and then you can probably even squeeze in the big mech in the third if you could just take take a patrol if you really need to, just to get them in. But I think definitely has some legs for sure, and it has a lot of survivability, and it can have some resilience on the battlefield too.
I was when I first looked at that, I didn't do a ton of it. That's why I wanted you to lead the way, because you were very passionate about ear orcs. But I looked at it and I was like, I kind of like the feel of that army. It sounds like something that could really, you can also punish people for movement errors, because man, those killer cans get into you and they don't play
No,
around.
they're super
They
strong.
can
They got good damage. You know, they're like a mini dread for the most part, but point efficient. Like the efficiency you get with orcs with some of these points, like trucks, kilocans, is just really unparalleled. There's not a lot of armies that really do the same thing.
agree on the, I'm very curious to see a killer can style list come in, because I think they are super point efficient for what they do. And also there's so many tough targets right now that the multi damage from them, it really doesn't, will actually pick up a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think the third list that I was going to talk about, which I don't think we've seen too many of, is a battle wagon approach. Maybe 2-3 battle wagons, T8 vehicles. There is a specialist attachment that makes you have the ability to do some sneak attacks with them. They have just, they're super resilient. I think with some of the way that the orcs are built now, you could put units in these. You can make them delivery of them just a lot better inside the T8 vehicle. And with the new ITC format, I think that, you know, trying to limit number of kills is pretty important, and taking 2 or 3, you won't max out a secondary on them, and just gives your orc somewhere to basically hide, weather the first turn on some lists, especially like a Master of Ambush aggressor's army, but then be able to kind of immediately you know, counter. So I think battle wagons could come back too, especially with some of the upgrades.
Even for the points
Battle
on
wagon
those,
points, they're like 129, I think.
yeah, if you put the juice on them though, they start to get expensive once you put rollers and all
I
kinds of
wouldn't
other
put too
crap
many
on them.
points into them. I would keep them relatively simple. 139 for a battle wagon with a death roller, if you wanted a death roller.
I haven't seen a battle wagon on the board in a hot minute. If you, what do you? I think the killer cans with death with battle wagons could be something nasty.
It could be, yeah. I mean, T8, 16 wounds, 4-up save. Sens have a hard time killing it. Sens have a very difficult time with T8 and 4+ saves. So,
Indeed.
yeah, especially if you have a 5-up invo as well. I mean, it gets really hairy. And then you know, those burn bombs come in and just start blowing up. It just gets even more hairy. So, but no, overall, I really do like the new orc saga book with Space Wolves and Orcs and the Psychic Awakening, and I think it just gives a lot of additional flavors. The subcultures I think people should really take a look at and consider. I think a Death Skulls detachment with a shock attack gun is obviously one of your detachments. If you're trying to, you know, really optimize your orc army, I just don't think the shock attack gun should be replaced. And some of the cool new strats give you even more abilities to use more things. Unfortunately, buggies didn't really make a comeback with this release. I was hoping that they would have more with buggies. They did try a couple of things. They sprinkled in a couple of strats that are pretty interesting. One of which is my favorite buggy, which is the one that can teleport. On a 4+ during the movement phase, you could just basically pick it up, put it somewhere else 9 inches away from an enemy unit. There's a strat now that says don't even roll, just does it. So you could 1 CP, you could just make it move. Again, I don't think it's point effective, but I think the idea of having like 9 buggies, if they were pointed effectively with like reasonable guns and had the ability to just 4+ like teleport and 1 guaranteed teleport with the strat if you needed it for like a really important thing, would be a really fun army to play for sure. And if they were If they were better points efficient,
I
maybe
can
even
see that.
better.
I'd like to see some new orc board builds on the board. I actually like orcs a lot, and I really like the new thing. I like the subcultures, and I like the biggest things for me is I like the war boss. The new war boss for point efficiency is amazing,
Yeah.
and I like the
Yeah. I'm really
subcultures.
excited to see what people come up with. I would definitely consider taking them to a tournament. I don't think uh, if there was a tournament like reasonably near to our current date, I think I would probably play something similar to what I've been playing, but I'd be testing at home some additional like crazy strategies. Cause like everything I come up with works is kind of like on paper, it looks like crap. And then I put it on the table and I'm like, oh, it's actually not that bad. And then I can tweak it and like play it a little bit better. But if I were to, let's say, go to ATC, the orc list that I would probably come with would be very similar to what you actually played at Nova. I feel like it's still really, really strong. I may tweak a couple of things and maybe put in a burn a bomber or two just to have some of that ability to just harass people.
It just gets better with the thing because the all those grots would just have the subculture of just more durability now, so it's even more annoying to take
Yeah,
care of.
if you wanted to take that subculture with them, you could. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing though that people need to remember, and I don't think I mentioned this actually though, is once you take a subculture, you lose your clan. It's not like Space Marines. It's not like where you get, Raven Guard with two different things, like +3 to shooting and Masterful Artisans. You get both. This is like going to replace your clan. So if you were a Death Skulls army and you took the subculture, you're no longer a Death Skulls army. You're whatever your subculture is.
Yeah, the only thing that would make it different for is it'd be tough to do grot shields. You'd have to really
Yeah.
you have to watch out for which ones you put in which
Yeah,
deal.
I think a lot of them are really good. I think people who are playing with Gas, anyone who is going to be playing with Gas, like the new Gasgol model, should definitely be looking at Feral Orcs, Wild Boys, and Mad Boys. So they're both really, really strong. Being able to pile in extra, being able to pile in 6 inches is pretty huge. And rolling 2 dice for advancing with an army that can advance and charge and get +1 to attacks is pretty big. And then the Mad Boys Fanatic one is just really, really fun. Very orky. You got to roll in a table. You can potentially add 1 to strength. You can get automatically pass morale, which isn't as good, but you can always re-roll it. And then you can also get when you're targeting the unit itself, you add 1 to your saving throws. So like something like the Fanatic one with Scar Boys could be really gross because you can get multiple +1 strengths on the same units. Imagine
Like
30 boys rolling 2 dice, picking the highest, charging, and then their strength 6.
that seems better than normal.
It is better than normal.
That's science. That's
So
science right there.
that's pretty much all I had to say about Psychic Awakening. Pretty pumped about it. A lot of really cool things with orcs. I wasn't as impressed with the Space Wolf stuff, but we'll see what happens in the future. I think Ragnar was my Ragnar just over the topped everything else that I was like meh on the rest of it.
I think the Space Wolves are the only thing that is my problem is the list that I looked at them with is the exact same list that I put the White Scars and the BA with. It's just whether you like the Scars better than the Space Wolves.
Yeah. So did you want to talk about anything else, Brad?
I'm good for today, buddy. I got more stuff coming up the next week.
All right, man. I think we will sign off then. Go ahead.
Roll your dice in the open. Play by intent. 40K Santa will make all your Forge World dreams come true.